Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Buttercup here once again, and I'm the toughest one of them all from the likes of the Powerpuff Girls once again, and in addition to welcome back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of the Mega Man Marathon in Mega Man and Bass for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom / Game Boy Advance if you're those who have lived in other countries like American and European countries. So, anyways, last time we actually did manage to take on King Fortress stages with Bass, and in addition to that we managed to beat the game within Bass's perspective. And now we're going to be continue on and able to actually get this thing started with the forms of Mega Man's playthrough in Mega Man and Bass. Oh boy. In fact, this might actually be my post-commentary to do this particular playthrough, ladies and gentlemen, because, well, there's not much I can really say about this when it comes to Mega Man himself, other than there's actually quite a lot of things I can usually just talk about for more gaming-related stuff coming up, and during the likes of the later down the road and during that particular time of the year. So, if that's the case, then, well, especially when I was like, you know, for Gamescom 2018 and stuff like that, so with Mega Man, as far as Mega Man is concerned, that he behaves exactly like how he does in Mega Man 8, that he still managed to perform his Mega Buster, and he still managed to perform his sliding technique, so he plays exactly like how it does in the previous games before on one hand, ever since Mega Man 3. And especially noticeable for Mega Man 8, because even then, although there's only one ability that Mega Man cannot do, unlike in Mega Man 8, that he cannot perform himself as the forms of the Mega Ball, because that way it'll do a double jump even. So even then, I do really miss that ability. So even then, because what makes this incredibly difficult in comparison to Bass's playthrough on this is very, very hard. Because the reason being for that is because when we actually get into the actual later levels, mainly due to the Tango Man stage or even Astro Man stage, that you can definitely tell why what I was going to be talking about here. So even I know that, yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about this here, so, and you can still manage to perform yourselves the forms of the charge shots with the forms of, you know, your Mega Buster. Well, it wasn't until when we get to Mega Man 9 and 10 that Mega Man will actually now manage to able to abandon those abilities for quite a long time until when it gets to Mega Man 11. So even then know that because of that, well, assuming that Knuckles the Echidna might actually get into Mega Man 9, and especially noticeable for Mega Man himself for Mega Man 10. So, that digress. So, you still traverse through the exact same stages as Bass's playthrough, but one thing that makes it a little bit more difficult, or even a tad bit more worse than Bass's playthrough on this, is the fact that most of the levels in this game does not work very well for Mega Man himself, because with the absence of the forms of, not only because of the absence of the actual rush adapters or anything like that, but also because of how the fact that, you know, there's no energy tanks to be signed around here. And also what makes this a little bit more stingier compared to Bass himself, most of the time though, your wolves were able to actually just die a lot, especially noticeable that your lives can easily be drained very, very fast and quickly. Because, well, you know, most of the level design in Mega Man and Bass does not even work out very well for Mega Man himself, I'm afraid. So, anyways though, we still managed to come towards the forms of Proto Man here, so, Proto Man. And sometimes they share, like, they have the exact same dialogue sometimes. You've gone too far, King. I won't allow you to violate this robot museum. I've downloaded all of the data of the battle robots. Now I can create an invisible robot army. Since you are a robot, you are qualified to join us if you want to. And he says something else. Huh? It seems that your friend has arrived. Such as Mega Man. I have no time to waste on you anymore. Wait, King! Silence. And then, as you expected, that Proto Man gets cut into slices, or in this case, cut in half, so yeah, it's basically the exact same scene, but with different dialogue. Proto Man! It's just a scratch. Okay then. I'll take care of this. You go to Dr. Light for repairs. Yeah, because, you know, it'll just do that automatically though, so And here's Green Devil once again. I appreciate your ignorance, but I have no time for you either. I'll allow the Green Devil to handle you. So, now you remember about the fact that you know that in Base's playthrough that he can do so much when it comes to able to actually doing a lot of aiming shots and all that stuff. Well, apparently though, that Mega Man's Mega Buster actually deals a lot of damage compared to how it does it in Base's little Buster shots. Even then though, because of that though, well, the actual boss fights might be very, very good for Mega Man, unlike Base. But I will say though, is that Base is very good in levels, whilst in Mega Man, he's very good at bosses. So, because of that though, that, well, Base is not good at bosses, and also that Mega Man is not going to be doing very good with platforming departments, because, well, you see why. As soon as we're able to actually get to this, however, though, so let's go ahead and just save on Data 2, because I'm not going to overwrite my old save file, but in forms of Base's playthrough. So, and as we expected, I'm actually able to actually go ahead and tackle through these Robot Masters on the exact same order. So even then, I'm also able to actually just go ahead and do that, because even then, that again, you only have like one option to start up with from the forms of Mega Man and Base, and it still is pretty much Cold Man. So, now what makes the actual level design is so difficult for Mega Man anyway, you have to be right on with your jumps, and even then, until we get to the forms of, let's just say, Astro Man stage, or even especially noticeable with the forms of, well, let's just say, Tango Man stage, and even especially noticeable with the forms of any other stages for this matter, or I should say, most of the stages in the forms of the entirety of the game, because for some reason my depth perception when it comes to able to actually jumping through platforms is not very accurate. I'm gonna have to admit that right away, because, well, since it's actually my first time I've ever fully going to be playing through Mega Man and Base, well, usually it's actually my second playthrough on the forms of this particular game, but this time with Mega Man, and because of that though, Mega Man is not very good at platforming departments with the level design such as this, but don't worry, when we get to Mega Man 9 and 10, however though, that things should settle down with ease. So, I think that's why a lot of people seem to say that how the fact that this game should be a Base game rather than a Mega Man game, because regardless of Base's abilities so far anyway, let's just say this is one of the weakest entries in the entirety of the series to me. So, yeah, that's as far as to be expected. So, anyways though, we managed to able to actually just decide to take down this particular snowman robot here. So even then though, that we should able to actually expect to see how this will turn out. So, anyways though, the problem with the forms of mini bosses sometimes is the fact that it takes forever to able to actually deal some of the damage in the forms of these actual mini boss fights themselves, even compared to Robot Masters when we actually get into later on, with the forms of Cold Man, Burner Man, and Pirate Man especially. However, I will admit though right away, I'm actually going to be doing 4 Robot Masters in this particular video this time around though, because unlike any forms of Base's playthrough on the forms of the entirety of the game, I'm actually able to actually did done 3 Robot Masters after the intro stage, and then in the second part in Base's playthrough, I managed to able to actually just manage to take down 5 Robot Masters all in one particular episode. So, anyways, there's a CD over there if you want to able to grab that. But also, if we manage to able to go down from here, because there's no way we can backtrack, we also get another CD right from here. So, you can definitely tell how the fact that this game actually encourages you to able to actually use Mega Man sometimes when it comes to able to obtain the CDs no matter what. So, but again, I'm probably not gonna go I'm probably not gonna go after every single CDs of the game, because I definitely noticed that some of these CDs are very impossible to get, because even then, especially noticeable how the fact that with the level design such as this, that sometimes it gives me a lot of trial and error situations like this, for instance. But aside from that though, I think we should be alright for the most part, other than you're gonna have to grind a lot of extra lives, especially with Mega Man. Because of that though, you will die a lot with the forms of Mega Man, unlike Base, that you will occasionally get died sometimes for Base, but for Mega Man on the other hand, you will die a lot, because of not only because of level design, but also cheapest enemy placements I've ever seen ever since, well, at least ever since in Sonic Advance 3 or something like that. So, and because of that tradition, that, well, I'll get into more details about the actual final thoughts of the game, because, well, although I still really think that this game looks absolutely gorgeous to look at, especially notable as it's on the, well, originally for the Super Nintendo title, especially with the Game Boy Advance title and what have you. So, as a result of that edition, it's not that bad looking game. It's just the actual gameplay. It's just the way the fact of the matter is, though, is that I was still more used to with the forms of any other Mega Man games before I played that. And then as a result of that edition, because of that, with the absence of the forms of that energy tanks as being missing. So, anyways. So here's Coleman right here. So, the fact of the matter is, though, is that as you can see, with the charged up Mega Buster, you can now able to actually deal some slight amount of damage this time around, though, which is very good, because even then, though, unlike any forms of basis playthrough, sometimes it takes a while to able to actually deal some of the damage on Robot Masters. So, speaking of such, there's my first step of the forms of Mega Man's playthrough. Because of that, I wasn't paying too much attention with his pattern though, but that's okay though, because I still managed to got myself 3 extra 1-ups, or in this case 4 lives, if you will, because if it still says 0, this means you only have one life chance left. So, but still, it's kind of like how it does in any forms of certain 3D Mario games, well, to be more specifically than ever. So, anyways though, so since this is going to be a post-commentary right here, as far as I might say so for this matter, I guess I probably should able to actually explain about these new updates and all that stuff. First of all, about the fact of the matter is though, I've already mentioned about the forms of the Super Mario Party like several times. However though, in the forms of the European version of Super Mario Party, they managed to able to actually get themselves a bundle for once. Well, at least ever since the Amiibo bundle from Mario Party 10. Or, for this matter, the Australian version of the forms of Mario Party Star Rush that you get a Yoshi Amiibo. And because of that, we actually now managed to get ourselves the 2 pairs of these Joy-Cons with the Super Mario Party, which seems is pretty cool to able to actually get ourselves a bundle with it though. But it's not going to release until when it gets to like 23rd of November. I know it's a bit of a month late compared to the physical only version of Super Mario Party, which I'm actually going to be okay with that, because even then though, I think that might be a little bit overpriced or something like that compared to the physical version all by its own for Super Mario Party. But hey, at least I'm still looking forward to I'm able to actually just play this with multiplayer and what have you. So, but even then though, I'm really looking forward to see how, you know, more stuff that's been handling with it. And as far as I'm aware, with the forms of the Gamescom 2018 rendition of Super Mario Party demo, it looks like every single part of it is being completely untouched. Because, for one thing, is the fact that most of the actual HUDs or anything like that, or even especially notable with the forms of the character selection screen as far as I saw, most of the actual characters, playable characters wise, hasn't got anything new to it yet. Well, we don't know if the DLC is going to be coming through with the forms of Super Mario Party, because, well, I was really hoping if that will happen to be able to actually invite most of the other Nintendo guests or something like that, but again, I'm not entirely sure. But even then though, as far as I'm aware, with the forms of these unlockable characters in the forms of Super Mario Party, much like in Mario Party Star Rush, there are only 4 unlockable characters, just like how it does in Star Rush. But, except the notable difference is the fact that, well, the only 4 unlockable characters, well, 2 of them from the good side, Mario side, and especially notable with 2 bad side, Bowser side characters, which are, well, I will spoil for the actual parts of it though, so I do apologize for this. But even then, although because of thanks to the forms of the actual IGN's gameplay footage of Super Mario Party demo in the forms of back in E3 2018, so even then though, if you know what I'm talking about, there are 4 characters I'll consist of: Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong ever since Mario Party Star Rush, and also Dry Bones for the Bowser side anyway though. So we have Dry Bones ever since Mario Party 7, and a new one to the lineup in the forms of the Mario Party playable characters department, and that will have to be Pom Pom. which even then though, that ever since the new forms of Mario Party Star Rush, that we actually have ourselves 4 female characters to play around with. But even then though, that in Super Mario Party, I'm glad that 4 of those female characters has been starts to shine again. At least ever since, ever since in Mario Party 10, and especially noticeable with the forms of, I would say, Mario Party 7 and Mario Party 8, and I think that was about it. And also Mario Party 10 for Toadette and Rosalina, and Mario Party Star Rush, and now for Super Mario Party, well, I don't really mind. I still really don't mind if both Toad and Toadette are not going to be playable once again, which I'm okay with that, because even then though, because it might actually match the exact same formula for how it does it in the past Mario Party installments, like for instance in Mario Party the Top 100, and especially noticeable in the good old days of Mario Party ever since Mario Party 1. So, anyways, and as you can tell right there, I'm almost gonna die right there just because of how the fact that in order to actually deal with these electrical robots, there's the fact that you have to utilize the actual ice wall sometimes, which still is incredibly, yeah. So, for the most part though, there's not much else I can really talk for this point, ladies and gentlemen, other than, well, just trying to able to actually just the sake of the actual parts all by itself. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just traverse through here, and actually, no matter what though, I'm probably not gonna get that piece of health there because, well, that enemies keep on getting my way, and plus, there's no way I can able to jump a little bit higher than that, so I thought to myself I might as well able to actually just skip that for the time being. So, anyways, let's go ahead and deal with this particular big robot here. But again, I don't memorize the forms of the actual names of the forms of the actual robots themselves. So yeah, that's all I can really say about this here. So yeah, I'm very surprised how the fact that we've now finally got ourselves the forms of yeah, screw you right there, and that way I managed to have to restart that particular section again. So, but that's fine though, because it's not that far from what I got into. So, plus with that awesome sliding maneuvering, which even then I just managed to able to bypass a lot of enemies so easily. So I can appreciate it with that kinds of stuff. So even then, yeah. I guess that's about it for the most part. Other than, we've now finally have managed to able to get ourselves our final release date of the forms of the 3DS remake of the forms of Luigi's Mansion, and it's going to be releasing on. Speaking of which, it's going to be releasing on at some point in October, just because of the Halloween event. Well, to be more accurately, in the forms of North American so far, it's going to be releasing until the forms of 12th of October, and also the European actually got that release date as well, and it's going to release until when it gets to the 19th of October. So that was about 8 days, or actually 7 days in between, like a week difference between both the American and the UK's release dates. So yeah, I'm actually very curious to see how this will turn out to be. So, but still, I really, even though that some people usually complain about the fact that why can that be on the Nintendo Switch, which I understand that because of how the fact that it's one that makes the visuals do look even much more better than the 3DS's graphics capabilities. But unfortunately, that's not the case though, and plus it's way too late for this point now. So, anyways though, I guess that's about it for the most part, other than, well, you know, there's not much else I can really say about this, other than, the first time ever we're actually going to be seeing, the footage of the forms of King K. Rool into the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for, like, the first time ever since, well, for the official Nintendo YouTube account. So even then, I'm very curious, actually, because even then, well, for simple reasons, because of how the fact that both Snake and King K. Rool managed to able to duke it out at each other, so yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, because of that though, today was actually forms of the 22nd of August 2018, so I'm very surprised how the fact that August is almost over, especially noticeable how the fact that we're still at Mega Man and Base so far, and after that there is now counting down to the forms of 2 games left, which are, well, for both Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10. And that way we should be able to actually conclude the actual marathon of Mega Man, well, until when before Mega Man 11 comes out. So yeah, that's as far as I'm actually concerned with this part for the most part. So Anyways though, so as you can clearly see right there, I managed to able to take my death yet again by the forms of the actual Robot Master for a second time in the forms of Mega Man's playthrough, and because of that, I'm probably not going to deal with Burner Man within just a little bit of health left yet again. So, but what makes the Burner Man is so difficult about this is that you're going to have to memorize the actual pattern of how he's going to be participating for moving, and as a result, it can be very difficult to dodge him sometimes, which even then though, sometimes you can either just like, well, it can either hit you hard, or just a little bit pain to dodge, or have annoying strategies to able to deal with. But even then though, that's why it makes this game a little bit more harder for Mega Man though, and as a result, Mega Man is considerably the hard mode of this game because of that though. And without the rush adapters, or even especially noticeable with the forms of, well, no rush jets and everything like that. So, although there is rush in the game, but we'll explain more details onto that as soon as we get to the auto shops. Even then, that makes it a little bit more, well, different as far as that's been concerned with. So, anyways though, we've got ourselves the Wave Burner right here. And let's go ahead and save our game quickly. I wonder how much bolts I can gather. 90 bolts. Okay, not bad. Well, it wasn't until when we actually get to the next level, which should be Pirate Man up next. So that should be a pleasant surprise there. So even then though, that, yeah, we can able to actually take him down with the forms of, well, the Flame Burner. So even then though, that we could potentially try and able to deal with his weakness. Well, at least Wave Burner, as far as I was trying to say for that proper name of that specific weapon. So, or even in this case, yeah, that's why I can really think about this for the time's sake. So, and I think, if I remember correctly, is that Mega Man and Bass might be the final Mega Man game to actually go into, let's just say, 32-bit, because even then though, until Mega Man 9 and 10, we're actually going back into the forms of the 8-bit world. So because of that though, ever since Mega Man 6 in 1993 of all things, so that way it will able to actually go back into its old style of visuals. So yeah, as far as I can usually say about this for the most part though, or in this case for this matter, yeah. So yeah, with Pirate Man stage, that what makes Mega Man and Bass kind of surprising is the fact that, well, just like in any other Mega Man game ever since Mega Man 7 and 8, this game still encourages you a lot of exploration, especially noticeable with the forms of, well, it depends off 2 playthroughs of the game. They would able to actually experience how the fact that there's going to be some exclusive routes to take ever since during the likes of, well, this is before when Sonic Advance 3 exists. How the fact of the matter is though that, like for instance, in the forms of Bass can able to actually just perform a double jump or even just, well, just manage able to take the highest route. And then in Mega Man, on the other hand though, he needs to able to actually slide through the gaps until he able to actually just get to able to discover another parts of the secret areas. So that's the thing I liked about the Mega Man games sometimes, but it's all about sometimes exploration sometimes. So even then though, that you would experience how the fact that there's going to be some hidden goodies inside, and even especially noticeable when the game itself is incredibly easy. And speaking of not so easy, I again am not able to actually get killed by the forms of that biggest whale robot. But again, that's what makes this game so difficult in comparison to any other Mega Man games I've ever played so far. And that's only because of how the fact that, well, if you want to able to do 2 playthroughs of the game, both normally Bass and Mega Man all at the same time, well, you need to be sure we need to able to actually just to be a little bit more patience and observation is key to victory around here. And as a result of that tradition, that again, it depends on the actual, depends on who you pick at the beginning, either Mega Man or Bass. It's all just a matter of the forms of very good with Robot Masters or the levels themselves. Like, even then, well, usually for Bass, he can actually just manage to bypass certain hazards, like the forms of the double jump and the shooting multiple directions, and especially with the dash button and all that stuff, and the trouble boosting while he's trying to buy it when he forms the auto shop. Mega Man, however, does not have any of that. I mean, I've already mentioned about this before, he doesn't have any rush adapters. But even then though, that because of that though, when we get to Astro Man stage, you know exactly how I am feeling incredibly bad with the absence of the forms of the rush adapters. Because of that, well, you're gonna die a lot with Mega Man, so yeah, that's just not that good. But again, that the Robot Masters are very good for Mega Man because even then those strategies can able to actually take him down so easily. At least depends on your skills you might actually try to perform him with. So there we go, that's the 3 Robot Masters down, and now it's about time to able to actually do the 4th one. Although before I do the 4th Robot Master, which appears to be Ground Man, we might as well able to actually go into the actual shrine location yet again. So even then, I need to able to grind through as many balls as I possibly could. So even then though, that again, I'm probably not going to go through every single upgrade, so I might as well able to actually go through some of them. Like, some of them can be very useful, like the Super Recovery, just like how it does it in all the Super Pickups, or the Super Recovery, that allows you to able to get even more weapon energy, and even a health energy right there, just like in Mega Man 8. And as a result for that addition, that just makes the game slightly comfortable, but not so much comfortable when it comes to the actual level design itself. I think that's why it tends to really bugs me sometimes, which even then, although, at least I'll give Mega Man 4 some credit though, because you can able to actually use any of those rush abilities, like the forms of Rush Jet, and especially with Rush Coil, and Rush Marine, with only one little bit of the water sections. Well, some of the water sections, I'm assuming so for this matter. But one thing I should probably point out right away is that depends on what characters you're actually going to be playing as, either Bass or Mega Man. Sometimes their own weapons usually have their different color variations, which even then, originally the whole fact of the matter is though, is that Bass, like for example, the forms of Remote Mine, that normally if you ever play as Bass, whenever you get this specific weapon, his Remote Mine is the forms of how it's usually colored light blue. But for Mega Man case, he actually managed to able to actually send out the black Remote Mine. So it's a little bit different around here. So if that's the case, then yeah, that's what I can really say about this. So let's go and save our game quickly. 440 bolts. That's quite a lot of bolts I can get. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and buy something from here. So yeah, there is Rush, but to be honest, I'm probably not going to go after Rush, to be honest, because other than, well, you still have the exact same items as before, but even then though, it's just Rush Search, which just like how it behaves exactly like how it does it in Mega Man 7, that it actually just allows you to able to actually search for stuff. So what I'm going to do here is the fact that, as you can see, I've managed to able to buy myself Eddie, which even then though, think of like how it does in the forms of Mega Man 8 with the forms of the well, the Rush Heal item from the likes of Mega Man 8, that Eddie can able to actually just regenerate your health. So even then, well, there's one problem I have with Eddie though, unlike Rush Heal from Mega Man 8, but I'll explain more on that as soon as we get to the very end of the game, especially with the King Fortress levels, because even then though, oh please, don't get me started on the forms of King Fortress 2 as Mega Man, because you have no idea of how this is going to be inconvenience that will be at. So anyways though, let's go ahead and deal with the final Robot Master in the forms of this particular part, and that will have to be Ground Man. So, oh boy. You can definitely tell how the fact that a lot of people seem to actually just trying to able to prefer playing as Bass in the entirety of the game, and as a result, that Bass definitely should help, or even especially Bass do actually worked out in the forms of this entire game itself, even especially with the actual level design itself, and even especially noticeable with the forms of certain obstacles we need to worry about, and as a result, that again, if you play as Mega Man, you're pretty much going to have to deal with a lot of death situations, trial and error, and pretty much a lot of frustration, which even then, I can definitely see how the fact that this game is considerably the hardest classic Mega Man games in the entirety of the series, which even then, I can at least agree for some people out there, even for Mega Man fans out there. Even especially noticeable if it doesn't help if you ever play this on the Game Boy Advance. You can't really see what's on top of you, or even even you can't really see what's up ahead. So that's a bit inconsistency when it comes to the actual screen crunch with the Game Boy Advance version. So yeah, there's no way I can able to actually deal with that caterpillar robot there. Well, other than if you manage to back away for a little bit. I kind of wish that I can able to actually buy myself my Super Barrier, or even in this case the shield item upgrade, but it's not going to appear until when we get to the very end of the game. So even then, that would be able to actually potentially just try to make the game a little bit more comfortable. Especially noticeable that how the fact that we don't have to worry about the knockback occurrence and stuff like that. But still, it's a little bit more inconvenience that was. Yeah, I somehow almost gonna get screwed over right there, because even I know sometimes that, well, I just don't know what I was gonna be expecting. Let's see how this will turn out with my movesets and everything, and yeah, too bad I don't have to get my health pickup, or else in the forms of base, you can actually just manage to perform a double jump ability, and then you would able to actually get yourselves your health pickup no problem. So let's go ahead and take down with the forms of this little killer caterpillar robot, and sometimes, again, that it might take forever to kill with the forms of the Mega Buster sometimes, but if you manage to able to actually use the actual, like, wave burner, sometimes it might actually deal some of the damage, but I wasn't really entirely sure, because even then, though, that, well, as long as we actually know what the actual Wikipedia itself actually was, but still, it's incredibly inconsistency when it comes to difficulty in mind, which even then, that can get a lot of potentials going. So, anyways though, I think that's all I can really say about this with the news updates and everything like that. Well, other than, there's also another game that did recently announced on the Nintendo Switch, which appears to be a port of all things, or another version of Saints Row the Third, which you remember that game back in 2011 for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3? Well, apparently that game will make a comeback on the Nintendo Switch apparently, which is kind of odd to me though, because even then, originally they're trying to able to actually just make the game coming onto the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, but I don't know if I actually did manage to able to research on that, because let me tell you, I wasn't peculiar huge fan of the forms of Saints Row games, to be honest, because other than that, because I was more accustomed to the forms of hardcore gamers like platformers, certain RPGs, certain puzzle elements to the mix, even especially noticeable for just platforming and party games, racing games, pretty much every single genre though anyway, at least to me anyway. So, let's go ahead and just climb onto this little vertical shaft here, and able to actually just get some more bolts, which comes in very handy, especially I want to able to get myself my next couple of upgrades and during the later down the game, especially noticeable when we actually get into, like, you know, Astro Man stage, even especially noticeable with that dreadful King's Fortress levels, because still, it's very, very annoying, I will admit though right away, with that particular level itself, which that's how I can really say about this other than that. So yeah, you know how the fact that, as far as when Blossom already mentioned about this before, that if you ever think that Mega Man 8 was going to be longer enough, well, turns out that Mega Man and Base is definitely one of the longest games to able to actually just to tackle for Let's Play wise, because even then, if you want to able to go through 2 playthroughs of the game for either both Mega Man to start off with, well, good luck with that, or even play as Base if you're ever able to actually first time experiencing the forms of taking control with Base himself. So yeah, it's very good, especially noticeable how the fact that, you know, this game should have been worked with Base only, not just Mega Man, because, well, you'll have a hard time with it. So, anyways though, yeah, I really hate this particular enemy right there, because sometimes it just always gets on my nerves sometimes, even especially noticeable. It doesn't help if you manage to get this off screen, or if you manage to able to leave off screen itself sometimes. And then, basically what happens is though, is that, well, the health managed to able to actually just eventually regenerate all by itself, which is incredibly unfair, I will admit though right away. But still, it's just pretty obnoxious at times. So, again, we have to go for this little puzzle segment right there, but even then, as long as you know what you're doing with the actual pattern, then you would be fine, unless if you don't die by this pit of spikes down below, because even then, if you get screwed over into that, well, you're pretty much going to have to waste your life no matter what, as far as that's being consecutive with. So, anyways though, there's no way I can able to get that CD down there, because, you know, it's just so unfair how to get that collectible item, which even then, I'm guessing the game decides to troll me sometimes, which even then, that's why I'm probably not going to go through every single CDs in this game in particular, because most of the actual levels will not allow me to able to actually get every single CDs, unless there are some requirements to do that, but honestly, it's very impossible to do with this, so... Anyways, though, here we have Groundsman here, but even then, again, I might as well able to take my death situation here because, well, unlike in Pirate Man, I don't have as many death situations, unlike the other three right about now, because even then, well, I'm probably not going to deal with him with a little bit of health left, so... I guess this might be my last extra life until whenever I died in the next level, then I might as well able to get my first game over ever since in Mega Man 2. Because you know how the fact that Sonic did manage to able to accidentally got himself, well, particularly both Mario and Sonic, well, Mario managed to get himself his first game over in Dr. Wily Stage 1, just because there's really overpowered enemies and stuff like that. And also Sonic managed to able to actually get himself his game over in the first game over during the final boss in Mega Man 2. That's only because of how the fact that, well, the weapons doesn't regenerate after one stage or another, unlike in Mega Man 8. So I think that's how this will actually goes. So even then though, don't worry though, because even then, you get an unlimited amount of continues though, so that's the only good thing for that part. And what's also nice is the fact that you can able to actually get yourselves your extra lives back, like the forms of, well, just only 3 of them at the time. So yeah, there goes Groundsman, and we've got ourselves the spread drill, and that way we can able to actually just go ahead and save our game here. 75 bolts that we've got. And for the most part, I think we should probably just about end things off at this point here. So join me next time. Let's play Mega Man and Bass for the Mega Man's playthrough on the entirety of the game. It's the fact that we're going to be taking on Tango Man, Magic Man, Astro Man, and the forms of Dynamo Man, all in one unique correct order. So even then, see you guys next time, and yeah, later fellas.